Okay, this is part 3 to chapter 12. In part 2, we talked about strategies for market leaders and how market leaders can defend their position. Now we're going to focus on market challengers, market followers, and market nichers. So just to kind of refresh your memory, the market leader is the company that has the most market share. In this case, and this goes back to 2010, although it hasn't really changed a whole lot, Miller AB InBev was attempting to buy Miller Coors, which some were arguing would be a monopoly. I'm not sure exactly what happened with that. I'll have to look and see. But in this case, in this diagram, what you can see is AB InBev is the market leader. They have a pretty steady lead over Miller Coors, making them the market challenger. And then really there's a sharp drop off. And here we have market followers. And even though Yuengling has only 1% of the market, it's debatable whether you'd call them a nicher, although they have increased their national distribution quite a bit. Nichers aren't really even shown on here, but we'll talk about what that means in a couple of minutes. So we're going to focus right now on market challengers. What are some strategies that market challengers can use to compete and to grow? The first thing that the market challenger needs to do is define its strategic objective. Typically, their objective would be to increase market share. Then they have to decide who they should attack in order to gain the market share. And from there, they really have about 4 choices. Okay, they can choose to attack the leader, so they can try to gain market share from AB InBev, okay, which is Budweiser, all the Budweiser brands, and a whole bunch of other things. If you're not too familiar with AB InBev, go ahead and Google them, look at their website, and you can see that they have dozens and dozens of beer brands. This is usually a good strategy if the market leader isn't serving the market well enough, meaning that consumers would be willing to defect and switch. The next possibility is to attack a similar sized firm who maybe have underperforming financials. Now, in this case here, they don't really have a similar sized firm. If you look at Miller Coors, they're definitely smaller than AB InBev, but they're quite a lot bigger than Crown Imports. So this would be a tough one for them. They're kind of sitting right in the middle here with a couple steps for sure behind the leader, but many steps ahead of Crown in terms of size. But in this type of strategy, they can undercut prices with a superior product. And in that case, they should be able to draw consumers away from that underperforming brand or product. They may also choose, the third one, to attack small or regional firms. This may be more of the nichers. In this sense, they may decide to purchase local or regional firms in order to capture those customers. So maybe Miller Coors would buy out some regional craft breweries. A lot of times, consumers don't even realize when some of these companies are purchased by larger ones, especially if they're loyal to a particular product or product line. They're going to stay with the company, which gives the purchaser, the buyer, automatic increase in market share. The last choice is to what we call attack the status quo. And this is when a challenger might say they're not going to attack a specific firm, but maybe sort of reformulate the industry as a whole, or find a persuasive new way of thinking that doesn't necessarily address customer needs. So maybe they're saying, we can come up with a new type of beer bottle or container that meets customer needs better. And they're changing expectations for customers. And if they're a leader in making that change, they may be able to gain market share that way. I recently traveled to Puerto Rico, and I was really interested to see in Puerto Rico something that was really popular. Sangria is a popular kind of sweet wine drink. And what they had in Puerto Rico, and I can't remember the name of the brand, but they had They sold these 5 packs of sangrias in pouches, kind of like in a Capri Sun pouch. So it was really portable. It came with a straw. So it was like, I'd never seen something like that for an alcoholic beverage. And to me, that really was attacking the status quo of this company that sold the sangria said, we're gonna package things differently. We have a way. Consumers don't want bottles. They don't want things that are bulky. They want things that are light to take to the beach and easy to throw away. And this was their solution. I thought that was really kind of really unique. And I wonder what we'll see in the States in terms of things like that. Okay, so beyond the challenger down here are market followers. And there's really 3 main strategies that we see market followers enact when it comes to growth and competition. The market followers can decide to be what we call a cloner. It's unlikely that a follower would overtake the leader, but the follower can definitely achieve high profits because it doesn't bear any expense of potential innovations. They might just decide to copy a new innovation in their category. Um, and each follower would try to bring distinctive advantages to a specific target market. Sometimes that's distinct advantages in terms of location, unique services, maybe certain financing. But one thing they have to try to avoid is in their growth plan, they don't invite competition from the market leaders. And usually what they're doing is they're cloning, imitating, or adapting. In the cloner strategy, they would simply emulate what the leader does and provide some slight variations. Maybe they try to come up with a similar, if we're talking about beer, a similar flavor with similar nutritional, calories and so forth. But it has slight variations, like maybe an interesting flavor variety. But they try to maybe look like and mimic that leader's product in terms of packaging, maybe even a similar name or something. The imitator would copy some things from the leader, but try to maintain many unique aspects. So in this case, maybe the only difference is a different flavor or distinct flavor variety, or only a different type of package. But in the imitator, they would usually have a base copy from what the leader does, but then maintain flavor, packaging, and pricing that are unique to their brand. In the adapter strategy, they say, we like what the leader has been doing, but we think we can do it better, or we can improve upon it. And typically that's because they hope to grow into a future challenger, so kind of move up on this list here. The last one then is what we call nichers. Nichers tend to be leaders in a small market. I don't want to say that they're ignored by market leaders. It really depends on how the industry, is broken down, how much market share each has. In terms of our beer market, let me go back here. The nichers are so far down here. These guys don't pay a whole lot of attention to them anyway. They're defending AB InBev is defending Miller Coors and Heineken and those guys. But there can be quite a lot of competition within a small market. But even still, I would say somebody like Rhinegeist in the Cincinnati area, they're a leader in this small market. They have a very, very low share of the total market. I mean, probably 1/100% globally, less. But they can be really profitable, and they probably are, because they have a very distinct niche market. They usually try to avoid competing directly with market leaders, and they don't really see themselves as competitors to market leaders. If you go into a liquor store and you look at the price of a 6-pack of Budweiser and a 6-pack of really any Rhinegeist product, or a 12-pack or a case, I don't even think you can get Rhinegeist in a case. But in any case, the per ounce or per volume price for these local craft brews are very much higher than the per ounce price of your Coors and your Miller Lite and your Bud Light or Budweiser type of beers. So they are able to usually achieve high margins, but they don't have a high share of the market. And there are some strategies or roles that these nichers can play, and oftentimes they're focused on usually just one or maybe two of them. There's a full list in your textbook, but this is just a couple of them. They may be service specialists and say, we're going to be the very best at customer service. Maybe they focus on certain size of customers, particularly in the business to business market. Maybe they only will sell to certain size stores or retailers. Be a geographic specialist. Maybe the nicher really focus on understanding people in the Northeast or in Florida or in California. Or maybe they have particular product features that they believe they can provide for whatever target market. So those are a couple, and there are several more in your textbook if you want to look them up. So that will conclude chapter 12.